Sci-Fi podcast. Today we'll be speaking to Stavros, and he will be talking about what he's done for the past how many years now?
Gosh, it's about 12 years.
12 years of giving a really incredible platform for young designers who can't get their clothes into a big shop or hasn't had enough press to support them. And Stavros, what he's done is he's created an incredible platform for them for global projection on what they're doing and what they're trying to achieve. Hi, Stavros.
Oh my God. Hi, Karen. I mean, this introduction was, it's very generous of you. So thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited, as always, to be talking to you. You know this.
I'm really excited that you had a minute to give me. As we know,
Always.
things are going on at the moment. We're in May, and we're almost in May. And Menswear Fashion Week is going to be coming up, so I know you're really busy. But I would love to dig into what Stavros is about when it comes to support. Especially support with young people who don't have money, who don't have a backing from their family. And how can we, I guess, project the idea of support and what it means.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about, your dedication to what you do. And I know the name of your shop is Machine A.
Yeah.
And like we said, it's been going for 12 years.
Yes.
Within those 12 years, what do you feel is important to see in a young designer when you're thinking of supporting them?
Yeah. Well, wow, that's a massive topic, and as we know each other for a very long time, I know it's so close to your heart as close to my heart as well. It didn't, to be fair and honest, when I founded Machine A, it wasn't coming from a place of, we'll create this, as mentorship or creating this type of relationship of being there to support. It was actually I created Machine A to have a space for young emerging talents to exist. That was the first and foremost point of reference, because they existed in so many different places and communities, but not in a retail in per se. And that's a very difficult component, of course, as we all know, for especially for really young designers and emerging designers and graduates. Without getting into too much detail of all these 12 years, what it became very important was that as we connected in Machine A, I soon realized through their own eyes and experiences and what they have been sharing with me, and also, from my end, because I also was building a very young business, so in some ways we're growing together in all this. I soon realized all the real challenges that they're coming into play, and what they have to deal with on a daily basis. Moving forward, in 2024, I think that the conversation has slightly changed. And what I mean by that is, I said it earlier, actually, to Liam right before we joined here this podcast. I said that it's not anymore about when I interact with a young designer, emerging designer, and I want to work with, I'm not there to say, you need to do this and that and that. I'm there to say, what do you need support with? This is the right question to ask the designer, the young designer. So you know how you want to perhaps build your brand or who you want to be through your brand. So I'm there to facilitate. So how can I support you the best? Through Machine A or through my extended network,
because you know everybody.
We
Come on,
are
your black
together.
book is crazy. Your black book is crazy.
But we also, in both of us are members in great committees, that they offer support, a different type of support, but also, through personal relationships and what we can do to facilitate this process for them to be able to be viable businesses that they can live from what they love and they're passionate to do.
I mean, starting Machine A
Yes.
as a retail facility, it must have been so difficult because you have to go up against all of the big shops. And, you know, it's kind of a mafia, really. You know what I mean?
I was the underdog and I was the complete outsider. You know, like it was so tough and so difficult, you know, in the beginning. Sorry, I cut you off because but I can tell you in that moment because it was extremely difficult. I mean, if you know, London it had already, you know, the big establishments. It was, you know, Browns, Matches, LNCC. It was Dover Street Market, of course, Selfridges, Harrods, Harvey Nichols. You know, like we're talking about a very competitive retail environment where, you know, I came through, you know, with Machine A, and as I said, I was a complete underdog. Also because the proposition in the way that we opened Machine A was very different to what was existing in the retail landscape back then. What I mean by that, I mean, whoever has visited Machine A knows that we never separated men's and women's, so it was always about gender fluidity within the store. And also, I never separated rails per brand. You know, like so. in our rails in Machine A, you would find a student and a graduate next to a big high-end or luxury brand.
Which is the vibe at the moment. To me, like when you walk into Machine A, number one, you want to look like the people that are working there.
Yeah.
The music is on fire.
Yeah.
Okay, it's crazy. The atmosphere is like, come in, come through. We have something for you.
Yeah.
You know, and what I loved about Machine A and what I still love about Machine A is the aesthetic of your buying power.
Thank you so much.
And it's because it's like you're giving everyone a whole different point of view on how to dress with brands.
Yeah.
Because if you just wear the brand itself, there is no style in that.
Absolutely.
And I think what I've always seen and what you've always been able to offer is a new way of wearing a high-end brand. And I mean, that's my takeaway on it.
It's thank you so much, Karen, about this because it's really, I mean, everyone again, you know, a lot of times I have talked about this and they ask me, oh, why did you do that in the first place? And it's a very simple answer to this. Everyone I know and I like the way they dress that way. I mean,
there you go, right?
It's so simple as that. I mean, I don't know anyone that walked every Machine A and said, oh, this is men's, I'm not going to buy it. If you know, or this is women's, so I'm not going to get into it. Or they are head to toe with one brand. You know, they're mixing everything in the dress because it's all about the styling proposition. It's about expressing your own aesthetic, and also very important was about discovery. You know, like so for me it was always about, you know, if you group, let's say, a brand or you propose it in a very certain way, you don't allow to the customer to actually discover themselves what is within a rail, you know? So, as you said, a different styling proposition, how you can combine things, but also to spend enough time to go through it and get informed. I was so happy because a few days ago I had like this discussion with a very young person. I mean, everyone knows that we have a very young audience in Machine A, you know, like always.
I think it's mixed.
Yeah, it's mixed. I'm saying, you know, like in terms of, you know, the coming and it's, I'm very pleased, you know, I'm very happy because a lot of times, you know, with the age and as we're getting older, I was like, am I going to be still relevant? You know, like, and
totally,
what Machine
all day.
and what Machine A does is going to be still relevant. But they were saying to me that, you know, I'm really happy when I visit Machine A because I don't feel the pressure of actually, I have to get in there to buy something. Absolutely. You know, like I can go there and learn about something. And, you know, it can be like a hangout place and I can meet my friends there and we can discuss about a new designer that probably, you know, they know from their friends or they just seen it in the store and they really love it and they want to get into it and learn more about it. So that was That's what I'm so happy about this. But in the beginning, it wasn't, to go back to your point, it was so different from what was existing. I didn't realize it at that point, because I was looking very into what I was doing. But then I started having like all these discussions with all these brands,
right,
and commercial directors, big ones. And they were like, what do you mean my collection is going to be next to a fashion student or a graduate? They couldn't even consider that concept. So it took...
See, but that's when they're not thinking of futures.
Yes.
Futures are just as important as real time.
Absolutely.
And I think when you put a new emerging designer next to how can I say it? A Gautier, or a Fendi, or whatever.
Or Burberry.
You're allowing them to attract futures.
Absolutely.
And without futures, there's no business.
Absolutely. That was the whole point. And this is where I realized where the perception of ours within the wider industry slightly start changing. When I start entering showrooms and already then people have realized, oh, this is what Machine's proposition is about. So they were saying, oh, we know you, do whatever you want, like select the way you want to select the brand, So they wouldn't come to me and say, you have to buy this category and this category and this category. And allow me a bit of a freedom. And now, to this day, I can still, for example, work with brands like Burberry or like Fendi, also due to the sometimes in the creative directors or the owners, like in case of Fendi, that they get what you're saying. They say, I want to be there. I want Fendi to be looking very different from what it would look in other stores. Like I want it next to a design to a graduate because of that. Because the power is very balanced. So it's not someone flashing over somebody else. They're equally important.
But they can roll together. It's kind of like you're actually doing them a favor.
Yeah.
You're actually doing them a service. By getting them futures. Because with Machine A, the way you buy the collection is so different from everybody else. Plus, you allow the young designers to understand how to make clothes very well, because they have to sit next to Fendi. That means you have to pull it together with your production, and you have to take more attention to everything you do with that garment. And that's also a form, I think, of support.
Yeah, but it's the environment of Machine A, spending time on the shop floor, because I'm not one of, lately, because my schedule has become super busy, but I spent many years, like actually being on the shop floor. I wasn't remotely sitting in an office doing my job behind a laptop. Like I was in there on a daily basis trying to make sales, but also to talk to the audience, the customers of Machine A. And that was my biggest school and learning process. Because out of those conversations, I was identifying what is going to happen in the next 6 months, a year, how I have to change my buy, what, people want, your comment, if you would come in Machine A and you would tell me, oh, I wish you had this. That would stay in my head, like for my next buy. And I would be like, oh, Karen said that to me. Obviously, and that would be the information that I would be collecting to be able, to this day, to do what we are there to do, I guess. But in this process is, again, the biggest, I think, game changer for Machine A and for me personally was that incredible discovery of emerging brands, like an emerging designers. It was the reason why also the business, and that would be a surprise, I guess, for some people. It was a reason why the business have been able to go through all the crises.
Hello.
And to have this loyal customer basis. connected with Machine. It wasn't due to the hyped brands. You know, the hyped brands are there, you know, like to do like a bit of a hype. When they're done, you know, that customer base is going to move to something else. But we built a customer basis on the aspect that they will come in Machine to discover these incredible young talents where in the future they will become the future of fashion.
There you go, yeah.
That was the key point of difference between all the retailers is once you focus and you start identifying this talent of the future, it gives you so much that you can build together. And that was the incredible thing that I saw happening in Machine and all these really young designers that then became very successful. We became friends and we built this together. I never thought that I'm there for them as a mentor, if it makes sense. I was there as a friend, you know, like, and then we would be doing this and we would be talking and we're like, what could be the new way of doing things? You know, like what would be, you know, a different sort of situation that we can do together?
Well, I think that's the side of support that a big shop cannot do.
It's way
they
more
don't
difficult.
have the time, they don't have the receipts, you know, they buy on the back of what was sold, you know, the season before, where you are constantly taking chances. You are constantly saying, well, hold on, we can go this route. I trust you. And don't worry, because I'll hold it. I'll hold the ground underneath your feet for a while.
Absolutely.
And then we see where it goes. Also, what's always been interesting to me is the consistency of the support. You know, to me, that's very, very rare. Sometimes you'll get support for someone for one season. But for you, I think it's been so ongoing that every time I go to Machine A, I've noticed that someone's been there for 3 years, 4 years before they even get a chance to sell in a place like Selfridges and Harrods. And you're still there, and they're still there with you together. And even if they dip over to Selfridges, you still have the best part of the collection because that's how you get down. You're like, look, hold on a minute. I want these pieces, and I'm not afraid to show that we can sell them, and it works. Saying that. I did want to ask you this question.
Everything.
3 of the designers that you gave their first chance on the shop floor to, that you feel has achieved what you hoped they achieved. And I'm talking about inconsistency and longevity. They're in the industry still, and they're building and building, and they're going to a place where they're not going to stop.
Well, this is one of my toughest questions because I feel like I'm
I know
going
you got
to choose.
1,000.
No. I'm going to choose.
Difficult.
I'm going to choose. You know, like it's almost like choosing your friends. You know, like and be like, who is a better friend? Because we really have been a place of launching a lot of young designers in the beginning, you know, so we most likely have been the first stockists of many of the designers that they're doing really great things. But I can tell perhaps, you know, like the ones that I remember fondly for specific reasons, you know, like for example, Kiko is a great example. I'll tell you for
Kiko, can you say that?
I'm sorry, yes, when I'm talking like that, Kiko Konstantinov, you know, like so. Yes. Kiko Konstantinov is a great example, and I'll explain to you why I'm so great. I feel such a special moment with Kiko. When we first launched Kiko, it was he was graduating from his BA collection, actually, you know, like, so it wasn't even still to the MA.
Which college was that?
St. Martin's. So he was in St. Martin's, it was a BA year, moving to the MA. So we did like this project together, and we started working that way. At some point, you know, with Kiko and throughout like his MA, it was tough, as it is tough for everyone, you know, like from a financial perspective. It's almost impossible. It's almost impossible, you know, like for you know, running a business, etc., etc. So long story short, we created this project, you know, like between Nick Knight and Stussy, and that it would be launching in Machine. everything we sold, you know,
That sounds crazy.
you know, like everything we sold, it was all sold out in a day. You know, like Kiko made a collection. It was all these crazy jumpers that he cut them in between and connected them. And, you know, we launched the project in Machine A. We didn't really even keep in Machine A, I think like even, I don't know, like nothing basically. And as it was all the money, we gave it back, you know, like to Kiko to be able to carry on and continue.
Hold on, so you sold it and you gave the money back to the
Kiko.
brand?
Yes,
That's
to
incredible.
Kiko. And that was a very, very early moment. But then, you know, when Kiko needed to go to the next stage and, you know, work with players like Dover Street, for example, Dover Street Market,
Yes.
It wasn't a bad it didn't become a bad relation between us. Actually, you know, Kiko was like, you know, I need to do this step, and I was like, you need to do this step.
Yeah,
you know, like
see,
Dover
there you
Street
go.
is a great step for you, you know, to go down to. You know, like this is what is going to make your business bigger and stronger, etc., etc. And since then, we have an incredible relationship that lasts for over 12 years, and he's doing such an incredible work, you know, like because throughout his collaborations, I mean, you know, A6 is flying off, you know, like whenever he does it, you know, he's done Macintosh, he's done so many incredible things. And I think he's going, for sure, at some point, become the creative director of a big powerhouse, you know, like, because I think he's that talented. Another one, for example, is Matthew Williams, you know, like Matt, we launched Elix, you know, and I have like to be very grateful to Matt about this because when I launched Machine A after like only I think a year or something, Matt was launching also Elix, so he gave Elix to us exclusively for like 2 years in UK.
2 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was a moment where to experience Matt, because you know, I was seeing this brand from this beginning of things, of how he shaped everything. He was changing so quick and creating like this mega community around him. You know, those Alix belts, the bomber jackets, everything. It became the
Everybody
synonym.
had one, right?
Everyone had one. It became the
Everybody
synonym
had
of
one.
the coolest thing that was existing everywhere. And Matt shaped that. And obviously, you know, to see him being appointed, you know, like, I mean, obviously he done like the Nike collaborations that have been super successful. And then you see someone like Matt, you know, to be appointed as the creative director of a luxury house like Givenchy, is the trajectory that you're like, oh, this is incredible to see to someone to be happening, because I do consider him as one of the most talented creators, you know, that they exist. Whether, you know, and then of course, you know, Givenchy has come to an end with that, but, you know, he has so many things, you know, that he's going to be doing, you know, in the future, that this is also something very important for people and whoever listens to us to understand that that level of what you define as success and what you define as successful story and progress in your life. In the case of Kiko, he's building his own brand in an extremely successful way. He just launched his store in Japan. You know that they have queues of 200 people waiting to get into his store in Japan.
I think I bought Kiko first at your shop.
Oh, thank you.
You know, I did.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if it was men's or women's.
Yeah.
And I didn't care.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point.
And I think I bought it for Wiz.
Yeah.
One of my clients was Kiko. And that's when I was introduced to Kiko.
Yeah.
And I think so many people have, I guess, I don't know, developed their new style in the way they dress by going to Machine A.
Absolutely.
And suppose you would have never given him that break. Suppose you would have never had that moment to merge him with Stussy and Ignite. He might not be where he is today.
Yeah.
So for me, support comes in such a huge circle of avenues. And it's like, we're not sure, not everybody can do everything.
Yeah.
But if we just take that one bit of what we can do, look how things are changing. And that also keeps London as a base to say everything that comes out of London is gold.
Yeah.
It's gold plated, it's on fire, it resonates globally, you know. And for you to say now, he should be at a house.
Yeah.
At the moment.
And even if he,
because he's done the work.
Absolutely. And you know, I was thinking about who I want like to say for third. I mean, there's so many people that I can talk about, you know, that I so
I always
much
say
admire
top
and
three
respect.
because, you know.
But I would bring like someone super new to this game, because again, I'm going back to the point of also it's very important, you know, to identify and define that success, and especially to this current day and stage, and how do you identify a successful business. And then you know, like for example, someone that we just actually started in the last 1 year to work together, is another person that I really hugely admire. He's super young. He's called Yaku Stapleton.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So, and I'll tell you. And actually, here comes along the BFC scholarships, because the first time that I saw Yaku's work, actually, it was through the BFC scholarship, who he won actually, which he won. And then
which initiative, the BFC?
It was a BFC scholarship, you know, like it's the one, you know, that you pay, you know, like to be able, you know, like to carry studies, or you know, like to be able, you know, like to be able, you know, to create your own brand. So it's normally, you know, given to very young designers, or still students that they cannot finish with their studies, or you know, they need for the fees and funds to be paid, or you know, having some money to be able to live in London.
I think I've been on those.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think like we have done like
panel,
one, maybe, you know, like at some point together. But anyway, Yaku, for example, then I done a program with Nike that Yaku became part of, and we are working now together. Basically, you know, we have his collection in Machine that everyone is start getting really obsessed about. But we just had a meeting about creating all these like really incredible workshops in the store in Machine.
Wow!
So he will come and curate all these workshops in our store, which is going to be about, you know, we give the product, or you know, the customer actually, the audience are bringing their own things, you know, to be customized by Yaku and Yaku's team. So it's
that is brilliant.
Yeah, and we want like
so it's a new form of DIY.
Exactly, and this is what I love about working with someone super young. I know when I talk to him that his actual career in fashion is going to get quite far, because that's what is very important, is to think about new ways to introduce and make business out of the current circumstances that exist.
Right.
If you see that you have, like, for example, an issue with your production, because this is something that is coming along too many times, you know, like with these young designers, you know, about production,
because
about
it's so expensive.
So expensive. And also, you know, like they don't, to be fair, Karen, you know, they never respect young designers. You know, all the production facilities are much more happier, you know, to prioritize the ones that they're going to get the big money from, you know, and they will never prioritize a young designers with a small order collection.
That they need to give back.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like they forget that's a future.
Yes, but
People
they don't.
just don't think of futures.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But they don't. And this is the problem. Then they have to create an environment where they can function, you know, where they can do business from, where they can survive with their own dream. I really, and as I know about you as well, I really believe in them, because they're coming to say to us, I see it very vividly, and I'm sure you're seeing it as well, telling us, your system is so dysfunctional and so wrong in so many ways that we are here to change it, not because we want to make a statement about change, but because it doesn't work. And,
there you go.
And they know, and this is what I welcome the most. Because at the moment, to be very fair with you, if I see a young designer and I have a discussion with them and they start telling me, I want to do like 4 collections a year. I want like to launch menswear, women's wear. You know, I want like to do pre-collections. I want to do like main collections, etc., etc. I would be like, whoa, you know, I would.
This is what I wanted to ask you already. The ones you do not waste time with, and the ones that you see are authentically excited just about developing a 10-piece collection.
Exactly.
Because then you're not talking about ego and delusion of grandeur,
yeah.
which unfortunately the Gen Zs have a slight problem with. But there's so many more out there that don't. And these are the ones that we need to really support.
Yeah.
The ones that have the drive and that are, like you say, obsessed, but dedicated.
Yeah.
You know, to the idea of whatever it is.
Yeah. Or someone might have given them the wrong advice. You know, someone might have sat with them. You know, it could be also, you know, someone in my position, you know, buying director, you know, like of a very big, you know, establishment, say to them, in order for me to work with you, I need you present in my store on main, during men's, during women's. I want, you know, like newness, you know, like every other month, basically, you know, like, because that's what I require from you in order for you to sell your collection here.
See, that makes them feel that's impossible.
Exactly. And the ones that they go down that road, you know, it's a very risky way because, of course, you know, in order for them to fund something like this, you know, to have the business structure to support something as big as that, which takes years and years to build, you know, like as a brand, you know, to be able to perform in that manner, creates such a huge financial risk. And then the worst risk is coming when what happens if that establishment, you know, decides to drop you, decides not to work anymore with you. You know, what is your other avenues, you know, like to be able to sell or exist or perform. So for me, it's at the moment, I'm really looking to the designers that they're there, and if someone comes to me and says, I'm not working anymore, I don't believe in, let's say, the seasonality thing, you know, I don't believe that everything is divided in 2 seasons, or I don't believe in a massive collection that I'm here to satisfy different type of categories. I'm strong in this thing. I know how to do this thing very well, and I'm here to give you that thing because that thing is going to be successful. This is what I'm mostly interested in at the moment. I'm not interested in all these big kind of propositions coming from very young designers because it really makes me think that probably they won't be able to support it along the way.
Well, it's unrealistic.
It's unrealistic.
It's unrealistic, and you know, like you say, they have been given a lot of false information, and also sometimes these big shops don't want the competition from these young designers, so they will make them feel that they can't do it because they're still trying to sell the stuff that they've just bought the last 2 seasons.
Absolutely.
So this young designer can come in and actually wipe the floor, shut it down, and sell out. And then what are they going to do with the millions of stock that they have left? So there's also that thing of competition, where with Machine A, I feel that's not your issue. First come, first serve. You know, whoever's selling, we good. If you're not selling right now, we'll take a chance next season.
We are.
You know, so this is a support that is, it's like on Mars. Like nobody has ever thought of doing it. And thank God, because now we have new young talent that have the same opportunities and the chances that someone that has them with money. And this is what I'm talking about.
This is so that's so important what you are saying, because that's really, really, really important. The accessibility, you know, based on skills and talent is the most essential thing, you know, for us to be here to facilitate with our support. they're being judged or put into boxes constantly, because this is how real life is about, you know. If they trying to hire their studio spaces or living spaces, or they will be judged in terms of financials. We're not here to do that. You know, what we're here to do is actually promote who has the skills and who has the talent to be able to carry on. And that's where we all come in, each one of us from their own aspect and their own perspective, and try to really do whatever we can do. You know, like, it's not easy also sometimes, and I hope, you know, people do understand that it's not easy also on us sometimes, you know, because our businesses are not protected from what everything is going on around us. You know, like, we also go through really difficult times.
Nobody's throwing money at you to support all these people.
No.
So, you know, at the end of the day, it's a known fact, just from, you know, the receipts of what you've been doing for the last 12 years, that you haven't had sponsorship and support in order to exist. Meanwhile, you're doing whatever you can to help these kids.
Exactly.
But of course, at the end of the day, the end results are you've done what you've set out to do. And there's always going to be another one, and another one, and another one that comes through the door. I mean, personally, I would like to be able to say, as a part of Hi-Fi, I would love to be able to collaborate with Machine A in a way where if you see a young designer that you feel has promise, but they don't really understand how to project their brand, they can come and we can kind of give them at least a heads up, meaning we'll give them the facility to show their brand in the most how can I say, effective, creative way, which also can help you in a way to sell it. And so this is something, this is why I've asked to have a conversation with you, because I feel that Hi-Fi would be able to support, you know, what you're trying to do, because we all need to kind of like pull together and give back.
Oh, it's brilliant. I mean,
You know?
I think like what this initiative does is like absolutely fantastic. And yes, I'm more than happy, you know, like to collaborate and partner, because I think the best things happen when different minds come together. That's always been the case. And a lot of young designers and emerging talent needs as much as support in terms of facilitating their processes. The ideas always are there, you know. For a great talent, as we both identify talents, and the ideas are always there. It's a moment of how can I take these ideas out and show them, whether that's on your work, you know, like through styling and through creative direction and artistic direction, through my work, you know, in terms of retail and buy and wholesale, etc. It's very, very important, because the way you communicate, the way you show your vision, it's extremely important. You know, how do you translate what you have in mind to what the other one sees from you? You know, like, and that creates that important dialogue between you and the audience that is so important, and it will become way more important. I mean, it's already super important, but it will become essential tool moving forward in the future, because of the crisis that at the moment the retail and online players are going through. The designers will have like more and more to rely upon their own direct-to-consumer relationships. You know, like, so in other words, the direct dialogue that they have with their own audience. So that's basically where this initiative comes in to play a great part, to prepare you for this and to make sure you have all the assets available to show something great.
I mean, for me, retail, when you walk into a shop, any shop, you're always going to have a better experience because you're not buying it online. It comes to your house, you try it, you might send it back.
Yeah.
And when you go into the shop, you get a vibe.
Yes.
You know,
Correct.
and it's the vibe that you're buying as well as the designer. So, you know, congratulations on that. I think what you've achieved is incredible, and I think it's just the beginning.
Oh my
really.
gosh.
12 years for me is just a drop in the sea. It's nothing compared to what's going to happen. But yes, thank you so, so much for coming on Hi-Fi. And you know, just, I guess, showing and telling and giving us the feeling of you know, the importance of support. Support isn't about spoiling a new designer or telling them a lie or selling them the dream that's not going to happen. It's about allowing them to see the reality and how to achieve that reality in real time.
Yes.
You know, and not everybody's the same.
Absolutely.
I mean, look at what you're talking about now, having a designer in your shop offer, you know, customers to bring their things in to do a complete, you know, revamp of what their wardrobe is already, whatever that makes sense. But anyway, it's pleasure. Thank you so much for giving us your time. And I'm very, very excited to collab in the near future.
Oh my God, Karen, thank you so much for having me here, because it's always, first and foremost, it's always beautiful to be talking to you, because it's so inspirational, but also it's, as you said, you know, the notion of collaboration is so important. It's always been the fundamental element of how things progress. Support is about how different entities and different people come together to create something together, and that togetherness is part of that support. And thank you so much for always being together and always being there for me and doing something like that for this initiative.
Oh, so thank you very, very much. That's good for Hi-Fi.